stood outside the Redwood Hotel, I could feel its presence looming over me, an ominous shadow under the pale moonlight. The stories I'd heard about this place had always felt like exaggerated campfire tales, the kind that made you laugh nervously but dismissed as pure fiction. But now, standing there, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, sized up by something lurking just beyond sight. With one last steadying breath, I pushed open the heavy double doors. They groaned like they were resisting, the sound reverberating through the empty lobby. The dim light barely illuminated the worn carpet and peeling wallpaper, casting the room in a sickly, yellowish glow. A faint scent of decay hung in the air, stale and sour, making the small hairs on the back of my neck prickle with unease. The front desk clerk barely looked at me as he slid a rusty key across the counter. "Room 306, he muttered, his voice hushed, as if he were afraid of being overheard. "If you need anything, call, but only until midnight." He didn't explain further, and somehow, I didn't want to ask. The elevator to the third floor felt like a coffin, creaking with every inch it climbed. When it finally stopped, I was greeted by a long, dimly lit corridor stretching out in both directions. The faded carpet was worn thin, and every other light bulb flickered sporadically, casting strange shadows along the walls. I walked briskly to my room, feeling as though I was being watched by invisible eyes from behind the peeling wallpaper. When I entered room 306, I immediately felt the weight of the room closing round me. The bed, covered in a faded quilt, sat crookedly against the wall, and the lone window was shut tight, grime smeared thickly across the glass. It felt like I had stepped back in time, or maybe into another world entirely, a forgotten place that had been waiting for. As I settled in, I couldn't ignore the sound of faint footsteps echoing in the hallway, as if someone or something was pacing just beyond my door. I tried to convince myself it was just the old pipes, the warped floors creaking with age, but the noise felt deliberate. I unpacked my camera and recording equipment, hoping to distract myself. If there was something paranormal here, I'd catch it. That's what I told myself. Yet every creak, every flickering shadow seemed to chip away at my resolve, each noise drawing me deeper into the hotel's sinister allure. Around midnight, the noises grew louder. My heart thudded in my chest as I heard the faint murmur of voices, too soft to make out words, but just close enough to send shivers down my spine. Then, a loud bang from the room next door made me jump, followed by a chilling silence that settled heavily in the air. Summoning every ounce of courage, I tiptoed to the door and pressed my ear against it. Nothing, just a heavy, eerie stillness. Minutes crawled by, or maybe hours, I couldn't be sure. Time felt distorted, each second stretching endlessly. I was about to give in and attempt to sleep when I saw a figure standing in the corner of the room, barely visible in the dim light, just a dark silhouette against the wall. My body went cold, every nerve frozen as the figure watched me with an intensity that made the air feel thick and oppressive. I opened my mouth to scream, but no sound came out. I couldn't move, couldn't look away. The figure just stood there, its gaze piercing me, as if it were reading my thoughts, dissecting my fear. Then, in the blink of an eye, it vanished, as if it had never been there. Breathless and trembling, I bolted from the bed, throwing on my jacket, my hands shaking so badly I could barely grasp the doorknob. I burst out into the hall, hoping to escape the suffocating grip of room 306. But But as I stumbled down the corridor, I was met with nothing but silence and darkness. Every door shut tight, every light flickering just out of sync, like a heartbeat racing in fear. As I reached the lobby, the night clerk was gone. The place looked even darker, emptier, the shadows stretching long across the floor. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare, and every step only led me deeper into its depths. I threw open the hotel doors, the cold night air hitting me like a wave of relief as I finally stepped outside, gasping for breath. When I looked back at the hotel, it loomed silently in the darkness, its windows reflecting nothing but an abyss. I could almost feel it watching me leave, waiting for me to return. I've heard people say that fear is just an illusion, that it's all in our minds. But that night at the Redwood Hotel, I felt fear as a tangible thing, a darkness that seeped into my bones, leaving an imprint I would carry with me. There are places in this world that defy reason, places where the walls remember, where shadows hide something that refuses to be forgotten. Redwood Hotel is one of those places, and as much as I hate to admit it, I know that part of me will always be drawn back to that room, to that darkness. It's a part of me now, a ghost that whispers whenever I close my eyes. And in that whisper, I hear the Redwood Hotel calling my name, waiting for me to return.